Hello and welcome to Sim Strategy Gaming. I'm Sim. This episode will be about the fifth chapter of the campaign in Empire Railway 2. Quite a bit harder this chapter than the previous ones, and I'm not quite sure if the circular approach that we have used so far is actually the best way to solve the challenges that we are presented at this stage. Nevertheless, this series is about a general and systematic approach for laying rails, and so we will continue to use it and see how it goes. In this chapter, we play as the entrepreneur. Her emphasis on express trains goes very well along with this map that is long all over here, and it has all these regions where we can not build. Gonna make it harder to build circles, but we will still make it, and we will benefit from her extra express bonus. Another thing is that she has this social skill that makes her employees more efficient than other employees. Still, the maximum efficiency is 125 still, so then there's no point in reducing these work hours as we usually do, or any other way. We will have a little bit cheaper employees. That's pretty much it. But there's a benefit throughout the game. Looking at our mission objectives, we will pretty much at each stage build ourselves achieve an express status on a rail line. First from Paris to Lille, and then further on we will build an express status line from Paris to Strasbourg, to Frankfurt, Berlin, and then in the end we will reach Eidkonten to achieve our objective to build the transcontinental railway. A note on this private route that we are required to buy. I could have bought this right away, but that would have cost me a bit of money. And every credit not spent on rails, particularly in the beginning, kind of makes us lag behind a bit. Money accumulates a lot. And then to be able to connect as fast as possible particularly connection bonuses, but also all the cities, it should be perhaps the prime objective in the beginning, and then perhaps postpone a little bit on to make this as long as we got time. This will cost us some score in the end. We will achieve more score if we buy this immediately, but still having more money makes it so that we can complete the map faster and then make more score in the end, perhaps. But it is a trade-off, is something to consider. Looking at the tech, always important to start there, see how we're going. We are reached the 1890, so it's kind of late in the game. We have a lot of nice locomotives. This is the nicest we have access to in the beginning. An express train with enough tractive power to be used as a mixed train. This can easily carry both passengers and freight goods. We also have this whale tank that have a little bit more tractive power, perhaps more suited for mixed lines, but still it is a little older and not necessary. Perhaps this one will be a better choice. Later on we will have access to the excellent Prussian P8, which is faster and better. And then we will have two lines. Then we have an express with this one, and then to have this as the mixed line going parallel to it. But in the beginning, this will be perhaps our best option, and combine that with the cheapest train, this one, for the little freight lines, little dedicated freight lines, that where one train might actually be too much. Starting out as usual, trying to connect everything as much as possible, particularly the connection bonuses, achieving the express status here, but still completing it as a circle. This will still be an express, and particularly if you put the fast express train on it, it will probably it's going to achieve express status. Some of these cities ran out of money, so we couldn't connect to it all. Gonna catch up on that later. So then, 15 months later, we've been able to achieve an express status here, Paris-Lille, and in accordance to our mission objectives, we are now about to achieve an express status on the Paris-Strasbourg, and also more express statuses. Many of these express statuses will come naturally as we have these closed small circles. It will be possible to have an express status. It will be even easier to have an express status if you took a line straight from Brussels, say, to Paris, or from Lille to Reims, like this. Might add upon a few extras of those just to ensure that we have enough express statuses. But mostly concern ourselves with these circles. Building this Paris, Reims, Strasbourg express line going through Luxembourg, because we have one circle here with Nancy, Reims, Luxembourg, and then one circle here, and then the express line goes sort of in between these circles, and we add upon these extra express lines going here and there. Ostend, Brussels, Luxembourg, Strasbourg. There will be one from Auxerre, Paris, Lille, Ostend. Could have connected these two together, but I think it's better and it's easy to achieve an express status if there are two separate lines. I think, and the lines shouldn't be too long either. This little Ostend thing is kind of a neat little creation. It is a city in many ways, but it doesn't receive any goods, and it doesn't grow, and it will always be small. There is no particular point in having any mixed or freight lines going up here. So my next plan would be to double all these lines. You can see I have doubled it here, made it into both express, wrong, and then a mixed line going parallel to it. And then when I'm going to expand this one as well into a 4-lane track, then I'm not going to bring that 4-lane all the way up here. I'll just leave us then a little up there and bring some passengers. But it's important to connect it still, because passengers will come all the way here from Strasbourg. Not so many perhaps, but still you can see that there will be 7 passengers and 7 mailboxes on their way. So we should make sure to connect as much as possible and to make sure that we are picking up as many as the passengers we are able to. That will make us the most money. A little comment on this peculiar line that I made down here. Made some mistakes. It's sort of unavoidable to make mistakes, even though you have played the game before many times. And then I thought that this would add on a little extra, bring some passengers, but this other line here, it's more than 25% longer than this inner shorter line. So then no passengers will bother to use this line. All will go here, or they will just go by themselves. So I sort of have to rebuild this, and it is a thing about the Railway Empire that it becomes the best line if one build something, learn from it, and then get some more money, and then upgrade that solution, better and more expensive solution later on when one have more money and more knowledge about how things are working and the desires are developing. Having a quick look at the flow of goods, one can see here that in Reims we have separated it into 2 different stations. We could perhaps have 3 stations to have the express line in the middle here, so that it's sort of entirely free and that doesn't mix with any of these other warehouses and the lines there and such. But sometimes, say with lumber, we need lumber to go all the way down from South of Nancy to Reims and into this circle like this. So then we have to have one warehouse in this zone with lumber, and then mirror that lumber over here so that it moves from one line to another. With the corn, not so, because we have corn here and corn up here in north as well, both north and south of Reims, and then we have corn in the warehouse here to bring it from this line over to this circle, but no mirroring here, because that would make for a mess where everything would go back and forth in a peculiar way. So now that this southern resource is now supplying the northern regions, and then back and forth. Now, 7 months later, we have been able to achieve some mission objectives. We on the Paris-Strasbourg line, we're now about to build an express line to achieve the express status on the Paris-Rams-Frankfurt line, and also connect more cities with express statuses, and perhaps most importantly, to deliver these tools to Paris, which require us to develop this next region close here into Germany with this iron that we will supply our steel mill, perhaps build that in Luxembourg, and also bring this coal down as well. And then we can make a tool factory here in Rams, perhaps, and then further on bring the tools down to Paris. It takes some time to get all this. When it comes to the tool factory, it needs also lumber as well, and Rams isn't really getting a lot of lumber right now. We don't really have that much lumber either. We need to rely on this lumber, but lumber is a bit scarce here in the French region. So we might build an extra little line here to secure the delivery of lumber. The objective to achieve this express line from Paris to Strasbourg is now fulfilled in many ways. So we have sort of removed it now, or replaced it, built upon this line, so that we have now added it to Ossar, and then made for this line that goes now around here. This sort of, we have an outer circle. Remember this inner circle that we built here first, and then added upon or expanded, so we now have two circles going around inside here, and then prepared for this express line, which now goes parallel first to this on the outer rim of this northern circle, the Paris-Brussels circle, and then further on down here, connecting, sort of now going north of the southern circle, and then through Luxembourg, and then we'll further on reach Frankfurt over here when time comes and we get some more money. One note on how many trains we should put on these separate tracks. When it comes to these express lines that we build parallel to the mixed lines to have this 4-lane circle system, we can look at the duration in days and divide it by 3 and then round it down, so we don't have too much delays. And then we can do pretty much the same with these lines that are the mixed lines. We now use the whale tank. We take the number of days divided by 3 and then round it up, because we don't care so much about the delays on these tracks where freight is included. It's also easy on these little lines. Here, one train is too much, so then one line is enough, one train is enough, and then just make sure to put this on the maximum amount to make it sure that it doesn't go back and forth with too little goods. But on this line, this combined freight only line that brings milk and wheat down into the warehouse in Paris, how many trains should we put here? And we can should perhaps not fill it all the way up. That will perhaps be too many trains, and we cannot require it to have this or that many wagons before it leaves the station. That will make for a mess. So, looking at it, what factors contribute to how many trains we should have? Of course, production here would be how much is produced along the train would be important. So then we have 6 plus 11, okay, say around 17. Rounding it up always, make sure that we not have too few trains. And then the other thing that contributes would perhaps be should be the length of the line, of course. So then it's 9 days. If it had been longer, we need more trains to fill it. So then, and these two factors, they should be multiplied. That's the only thing that sort of makes sense there. So we have to have 17 times 9, and that's a little more than 150. But that is way too many trains. We could not put 150 trains on this tiny little track. So we must be doing something wrong. And what is wrong? Even though it's the right way of thinking, there's still something wrong with the numbers. So then, first of all, we are talking about trains, and these are the number of goods we are calculating. So then, and a train takes 8 wagons, which can all take 1 good. So then we should divide it by 8. And still that would be too high a number. And then what more are we doing wrong? We are, this production is per week. And this is in days. So we're still doing something. So then we should divide it by 7. So then if you take this, the total amount of goods on the line, multiply it by the length of the line, the duration for the travel in days, and then divide that by 7, and then divide that by 8, or simply divide it by 56, then you get the correct number. So then the correct number here should be about 3 trains, which we have put on the line. And so then, 9 months later, we are earning enough money so that we can easily buy up our competitor. We have done this, so we're just gonna sort of merge or remove everything. There's no point in keeping this at all. We liquidate everything, and then boop, she's gone. Bye-bye. And then all of this region is ready for us now, and we can develop this super nice big economic zone, and further on, and really start making some money. But we still mustn't neglect our mission objectives, which is to connect more cities, which we will achieve, and then also to build this, expand upon this express line that we have here. Going now, we can build it over to Magdeburg and then further on to Berlin to achieve that objective. Have managed with the steel factory, bought up this iron resource. They must be at the same level to be able to support each other, and then some coal coming down here into Cologne, and then to one warehouse, and then further on to this warehouse, and then it's not too far away from Luxembourg. Building an extra line here, an extra expanded upon this express, which also now has a mirroring mixed line that also brings in extra lumber for Rems, ensuring that it has enough for its tool industry, and then we're able to bring the tools down there to Paris. This map was perhaps a little bit unsuited for circular thinking, but one can see now that 3 little circles or half little circles now make it to complete this sort of narrow path there before we move into this broader regions later on where the circles might be more appropriate. And then with adding this extra express line and such, then we would have more than enough connections, and this would be fine and lucrative, and bring us in both money and score. Both Reims and Luxembourg have 3 stations each. I come to realize perhaps that I should have had the express line on only a dedicated station only for the express line. But now I've mixed them a little bit together. That might not have been that clever, because it now puts this warehouse sort of in between. So then everything that goes into this warehouse also goes on to this express line thing. And now there are express trains there that benefits from having a long line, but it also is mirrored by this. See, one has this express here, and then one have the mirror mixed line going straight, and that picks up all these goods in the warehouses and brings it further on. But see now at the flow of goods how this works out. So with lumber, we now have the lumber up here is only supplying these northern regions, and then France is supplied by this southern resource down here. So that would be okay. If I now put this on the express line, it is on the express line, so that why Reims is also supplying Frankfurt. That might not be optimal, and then as this goes further on, it would make for 2 long hauls and not being profitable, and also perhaps make for this crisscrossing that sort of crashes the warehouses and makes for for a mess. So we have to keep this in mind. Perhaps should have made it more separate, more neater. But we'll learn as that time goes by. We built this. We doubled these lines. So one has express line out here using the Pacific. It has the mail wagon and the diner wagon along to it. And then we are now, hopefully, where is the P8? Yes. And then that mirrors it and goes the same way. We have been able to expand all of these lines. So pretty much all of them are these 4-lane tracks. Sometimes they diverge a little bit from each other, like here, this the freight version of the line doesn't care so much about how long it is. So then it goes through these two resources twice, actually, on its way around. And so, just a little short of 3 years of gameplay, we have achieved our objectives, and we could have made more score. We haven't achieved all our optional tasks yet. Some of them were a little bit complicated and would take some time. Let's see how we did this. First of all, perhaps look at our mission objectives. We were able to complete the Oriental Transcontinental Express all the way to Paris and Berlin first, Frankfurt included, and then further on to Eidgonten. And also been able to develop this region around Eidgonten here as well as building the express line that is now connected to it here. The express line now going all the way down here then, through all these circles that we have built around here. But the express line would go then into from Berlin, Magdeburg. Nice little tunnel here that we built, make it absolutely flat. Skipped on Kassel and then rather built a little hotel here to sort of add upon it. And into Frankfurt, Luxembourg, Reims, and then to Paris. This region, much the same still benefiting from its steel production here. Built some extra lines, small lines, not so long as the express line, a little line here, Cologne, Kassel, to build to exploit these resources and also achieve some express statuses. From Kassel further on to Weimar, Dresden, and not further on into Poland, because I thought that line would be too long, and if one keeps making these long lines and such, and then late in the game, I didn't want to update these the lines that were running on the tracks, because that would make for loss of goods and take some time for them to get some back on their route. So I made for smaller ones, hoping that they would achieve some express statuses as well. Zielona Góra, Bloods, Warsaw, and then up to Eidgonten here. A little bit complicated, or at least expensive, to build around our competitors' zone here and such in order to grow Eidgonten and get it all the goods that it's needed. But now, with the money we are making to build all these bridges and such, it's not so difficult. And we would like to have flat lines and not to run too much expenses on our trains. More ruggedy lines would require more time and more maintenance and more resources to drive the trains. Also take longer, we will make less, and we will spend more money on them. One thing I wanted to comment on is that we have all these nice resources there in our competitors' zone, and we certainly want to bring them down to Eidgonten. But our competitor, he's really slow at upgrading these businesses. All of his businesses are at level 1 still. All of them. So say with these 2 sugar resources that we have here in this our competitor zone, it's still producing not more than this single resource here, this private industry, and the resources here are connected to his rail network for a long time. While we pretty much recently connected this resource, and then private industry have been able to bump it up on its own accord without us spending any money on it or such. in order to avoid the problem with the express line, the long line connecting to these circular zones that we made, I sort of, instead of rebuilding everything, I made for solutions where goods are now sort of going around the edges there. You can see that the lumber now is not going through Reims anymore. It's sort of going down to Auxerre and then up to Paris and further on. Le and such might not have been quite optimal, but we're making so much money now, and it's not so much of a problem. It's always important to look at this flow of goods. There's a lot of warehouses now, and it can easily make for confusions, and to check this to see that there aren't any warning signs and that things seems to be going okay. It would be more or less impossible to figure out how each and every train now are doing on these lines, but one sort of need to have a general overview, and then the best way perhaps is to go around like this and see that things are coming in nicely, and if somebody's not getting it, then they should perhaps be built an extra warehouse somewhere. Connecting it through warehouses is usually more efficient, using the existing solutions infrastructure instead of constantly building new lines, even though one should build new lines as well. See that every factory is getting what they are needing, not only our factories but all the factories, see that they are running. This might be a little full. It's a lot of things to be done now, but now we have completed the missions and we have built everything around, and then if one wanted to play further on, we can make for these newspapers down in Paris. That is a mission objective, and further on develop industry and fix and expand upon our network and help it come along. Perhaps a last look at the money. We may making really good money now. This is a really profitable map, if flat and nice, if one just can overcome the challenges of the narrowness of it, perhaps. Now have 500 trains. It's a lot to keep order. Making really good money. I could be able to buy our second competitor pretty soon. It costs about a little less than 100 millions. We already have 50 millions at this point, and we are allowed to take up huge loans. And in a couple of months or so, we will be able to complete that mission objective, and then later on we can complete the next mission objectives. So, last thing perhaps to look at, this funny little line. These hotel lines are often, I wanted to bring these fruit. I thought that fruit belonged more like westward. We need more fruit down closer to France, Germany. We already have enough fruit in Poland. This fruit will supply all of Poland and Prussia pretty much. And then I brought a long line here going through there and up here, and there is a hotel. No, there's no hotel here. Perhaps I should build that. But at least there's an hotel here. So that also connects these two zones an extra time, and also brings the fruit nicely down here so that we can take care all the way to Brussels, Luxembourg. Alright, I guess that pretty much sums all of it up. One can leave some comments and feel free to like and subscribe, and then I will hope to see you next time, and goodbye.